Hello and welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome and welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I'm going to do something a little different today in this video. So this will not be a light language video, and this will not be an energy share or channeling video. I'll be reading a little bit of someone else's work. And the reason I chose to do this, well, there's many reasons, but I'm going to start off with a little introduction. And, over the course of this journey that I've been on, I've come across many teachers, many healers, many channelers, many way showers, light workers, beings, whatever we want to label these other fellow beings that are with us on this journey that have inspired us or assisted us to remember more of ourselves, to activate certain memories within us, to trigger certain things, and to assist us in expansion in our creative energies, and so on and so forth. And I like to share those other teachers or beings with everyone who may be watching this channel. And so I have a playlist that I've put together in my playlists, if you're interested in looking at those at all kinds of other teachers. And I know that I'm missing some videos and I'm missing some of the teachers. I haven't added everybody in there, but I have quite a mix. Some of those videos may not be relevant any longer. I haven't updated them in a while, and some may be very relevant for right now. So I invite you, if you feel so guided, to go and check those out. The reason I'm choosing to share this particular teaching, well, let me go back and just share that if you've seen these, you might remember a video I've done in the past when I talked a little bit about my journey. And I'm not going to go into all of that, but what I will share is I went through a major life change about 5 years ago, approximately. I've gone through several, and I had gone through many physical challenges at the time, which I now refer to as upgrades. Back then, we referred to them as ascension symptoms. And I was going through quite a bit where my whole world was being shaken up. I had physical as well as emotional, all kinds of things were being activated, cleared, and integrated, not necessarily in that order, remembered within me. So when we go through this type of upgrade, remembering, letting go, clearing, um, downloads, it can be quite challenging for the body. It can be quite challenging for our relationships with not only ourselves, but those around us as well. And as I was going through these changes, I was guided within somewhat of that time frame to begin to share those experiences with others. Because according to my guidance team, which I refer to as many beings, um, other people were going through it too. I wasn't the only one. There was many people that were experiencing this in their own way. And so along this path, I was I was searching. I was searching for answers. Why am I feeling this way? Am I the only one feeling this way? What does this mean? How can I better assist myself? Am I going crazy? Etc., etc., etc. And I wasn't getting answers from a lot of the mainstream um, information that perhaps, such as, I call mainstream Wayne Dyer, and he was one of my first books I ever read was by Wayne Dyer, and I was extremely activated from reading that book, and that's where I was at, and it was very helpful for me. And now I look back and I see it from a different perspective, and I honor all of his teachings, and I recognize, wow, what a different energy I was in when I was reading his books, and to where I am now. And this isn't like a better than or more expansive than. I certainly feel that I'm more expansive now than I was perhaps when I began reading his teachings. Some of the other teachers that have really inspired me are, I could go on, but we could say Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, I never pronounce his name right. Sorry, Eckhart. We could share Bruce Lipton and Dan Winter and Greg Braden and moving into this now moment and more uh, probably recent teachers for me have been, Sandra Walter, less mainstream, right? Sandra Walters. I really love Andrew Bartzis, and I could go on and on and on. Back a few years ago, I really enjoyed Magenta Pixie's teachings. So I'm sharing all of these because each of these beings or people that are sharing their information have a different style. I may not resonate in the same way with those particular teachers now like I did then. I move in and out of these teachings, so to speak, and I glean information or I dip my toe in the water of many different places. So oftentimes for me, I go with synchronicity. So I'll be guided to pick up an Edgar Cayce book, which I've only read one of his books, but that was what I needed to read in that now moment. I was guided to read, I was guided to become a yoga teacher in 2011 and 2012, right? And so during that period of my life, I found many different yogis and gurus, which we used to call them, or may still refer to certain teachers as gurus. And I found their teachings expansive and helpful and Muji, right? Certain teachers that I'm looking at, Gary Zukov, Seed of the Soul. I mean, I could go on and on about all of these different books that I just was, Henry David Thoreau, certain fictional writers, the author of Anastasia. So why am I sharing all of this? And channelers I haven't even gone into. Cryon, right? Cryon, Abraham Hicks. And so I was guided to just dip my toes in the water of all of these teachings, Helena Blavatsky and all of is it theosophical or Gnostic, right? Gnostic teachings. And in yoga, you have the Upanishad, you have so much. I'm not going to keep going with that. I think we get the point. And because of the way that I have had my experience in life, and even as a child, based on growing up with, from a divorced family, so you have these different backgrounds that come in when people join together and they bring these new belief systems. I was raised in a very religious background, but my church that I was raised in was all over the place. They took in things from Christianity to Judaism to Seventh-day Adventists to not celebrating holidays, which I believe Jehovah's Witness, right? They don't celebrate holidays. And it was this plethora of all of these things that I didn't realize until I became older and looked back on it and went, wait a minute. So teachings from the Bible, right? Jesus's teachings, I love. I've read things from the Buddhist teachings. And so this is all something I like to play with because I feel expansive when I look at all of these things and when I dip my toes in all of these teachings. And then I take what feels right for me and I utilize that. And what doesn't, I just let it go to someplace else, right? And I glean what resonates with me. And I might come back to those teachings and I might never come back to those teachings. And so one of the things that I want to share is when I was going through my massive upgrades, activation, up leveling, whatever we want to call it, expansive process of integrating, releasing, clearing, grounding, all of these things help me. It wasn't just one teaching that it was like, this is it. This is the one and only book that I'm ever going to read. There are some people, and that's how they feel. And for them, that's right. That's what works for them. They're in their hearts, they're grounded, they are in a place of balance and harmony and compassion, and that works for them. They don't feel the need or desire to dip their toes in all of these waters, and to each their own individual unique expression. So I share this because I recognize that there may be many different individuals who may choose to tune into what I'm sharing. And so one of the tools that I've added to my toolbox that assisted me when I was in this process of finding my sovereignty, essentially, and getting questions answered was Andrew Bartzis. And so that's the focus of today's video. And again, I would like to reiterate that there is no one teacher, shaman, guide. I didn't mention Carlos Castellano books. Those blew my mind as well, that I only focus on. However, I do find that at certain periods in my life, certain periods of time or cycles in my journey, certain teachers really resonate with me, and I hone in for a little bit longer on those particular teachings. So I've taken some of the teachings of Andrew Bartzis that I learned maybe, gosh, maybe it was back closer to 2012. And I've utilized those and added them to my toolbox. And I'm very grateful for all of these teachers, but we're going to focus on the galactic historian in this particular video. So what happened is as I was searching, I came across, I was utilizing the medicine cards, and I've talked about this in previous videos by Jamie Sams. She does medicine animals, and I can't remember the name right now. Oh, Sacred Path cards. So let me just show you. So you can't really see it actually. This is what I have left because the whole thing has fallen apart because I've utilized it so much. But the Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams, I got this book at a used bookstore, and it was the whole set. I should have brought my cards out. And here's an example. Ironically, this page is, you could tell it's falling apart. Number 8, ironic. East Shield, Illumination and Clarity. And when I found it at a secondhand bookstore, and it had medicine cards as well as this book to kind of follow along. I highly encourage, if you feel guided, to use these cards. I was very much remembering and integrating this past life experiences as a Native American. I am part Cherokee Chippewa. It runs in my family, and my father, and it's, long story short, I had a relative that was living on a Native American reservation. I don't even know if we want to call it American anymore, a Native reservation, whatever resonates. I'm used to using the term Native American. So what had happened was I was remembering these things and I didn't quite understand. And when I found these cards, they really called to me. And Jamie Sams has a beautiful way of explaining and writing, and I just honor her greatly. So I came across Andrew Bartzis, and he was doing videos with, I believe, Lance White about our galactic history. And he was using the same words quite frequently that Jamie Sams had used. And this book, keep in mind, is an older book, and it's not something that's mainstream. And so I was pleasantly surprised to hear someone else referring to these teachings. So that's what drew me to him and his teachings. And we could call this synchronicity. We could call this a coincidence, but I know, as well as many others, that that is just our guidance team lining us up, saying, okay, remember. So I proceeded to listen to all of the teachings that he did on these interviews, and it was very emotional for me. All of a sudden, I had these validations to what I had been oftentimes dreaming about as a child. And I thought, oh, it was just a dream. But I was actually remembering, I was remote viewing, I was being visited, whatever we want to, all of these experiences, right, as a child. And then people say, their parents who don't know, oh, honey, it was just your imagination. Well, he helped me to feel like I wasn't crazy. And so that was really nice to have, right? When you're going through all of this, everything all at once. In addition to that, there was certain clarity that was provided through these conversations and these sharings that this galactic history offered of other lifetimes off planet and previous lifetimes on planet that I was tapping into. And as I listened to these videos, it assisted me in integrating certain cellular memories that were held within my body. And when I say body, it's not just my physical, emotional, causal, etheric, all of these layers like a nesting doll. I call them bubbles. Our auric field is a layer, our all of these bodies that are within and around us at the same time hold certain emotions, memories, frequencies, so on and so forth. And so what happened was it assisted me in integrating those, processing, feeling the emotions, understanding why I was feeling these emotions. So I went through that journey, and I came across his at the same time, or around the same time, revocations. Now I've always done affirmations. Abraham Hicks talks about this, right? And Esther Hicks. And saying an affirmation out loud can assist us in shifting the vibration, even if it's just a small amount, almost immediately. And when I read his revocations out loud, there were things that I didn't understand. There were things that it triggered for me, and there were things that I didn't necessarily at the time feel comfortable with because I didn't understand them. And then as I expanded and became more aware of why he had written the things he had written in the way that he had written them, I became more and more comfortable reading these because what it did for me was assist me in cutting cords, integrating from a reading it back to myself and recognizing that it isn't just my imagination. And it helped me to identify some of the attachments and cords and programs that I had unknowingly or knowingly attached myself to, right? Or allowed in or where I had given my power away since childhood. So I'm sharing this because these revocations may not be for you. So to each their own. However, I do feel that these revocations can be very powerful for many. And so I'm going to be reading my favorite one out loud because it encompasses everything from my perspective. He offers on galactichistorian.com. Now, I don't do these as often as I used to, but I did follow these. And I'm sharing this because this kind of goes into the video that I'll be doing about doing the work. And he talks about this a lot. And I recognize that doing the work is different for everyone. For me, doing the work involved reading revocations, writing my own affirmations, writing down and speaking out loud, essentially assisted me in regaining my sovereignty from many different perspectives, depending on what that means for us. It's just one step, right? It isn't necessarily the one answer to rule them all, right? Just like there's never one teacher to rule them all, because that's not what it's about from my perspective. And again, this is my own journey, so I'm just sharing it with you guys. So one of the things that I'm going to do is read this revocation out loud. And if you are going to sit and listen, awesome, we'll share in this energy. But I invite you to go to the website if you feel inspired to. You might have already done this because I have mentioned this in many previous videos, even closer to when I started doing this channel. You can open it up, read it out loud, maybe pick one that you feel guided to pick, or one that calls to you, and write your own. You write your own affirmations. I've been using my own affirmations for years, even prior to finding Andrew Bartzis, but what he's done with his wording is assisted me in adding to my own collection, and we've kind of morphed them together, as we all do when we learn from a particular individual sharing their journey that we feel inspired by. So being in the heart space, because I'm kind of recognizing that there's some people are going to say, well, great, I'm reading something out loud. No, the purpose of reading these, whether it be an affirmation that you've written or one of the affirmations from another teacher, Sandra Walters has some beautiful ones as well, by the way. Reading them out loud with feeling from the heart, asking to center and anchor these frequencies and energies. And that can assist in centering and anchoring these energies. So I invite you, if you feel guided, to go onto his website. You can look up revocations. You can search them on the internet and they'll pop up and you can just click on them. I add my own things into these revocations, but I'm going to read pretty similarly from the website, but I'm changing it to me. So I'll be reading it for myself, how I read it. Maybe we'll see how I do with this. It's a long one. It's like a 10-minute one. So if you don't want to listen and you want to do it on your own, awesome. I've given you the information to kind of follow on your own. And I'm going to start now. I'm just going to pause this and put my blue blockers on. Okay. So I've taken my light down a little bit. Union and communion. This is called the Union and Communion Consciousness Strike. I want to also say that maybe when you watch this video, this may no longer be relevant for you. But and the relevancy for this, whoever's watching this, there may be one person that benefits from this, and that's what this is all about. I, in the ever-present moment of now, choose to form a multi-layered spiritual cord of alchemical equity. So for the express purpose of no longer cooperating with any forced evolutionary service in any dimension, time stream, galaxy, or universe in which I operate as a signature frequency of light, I amplify my consciousness strike field, denying service to all forced evolutionary systems that are not a signature frequency match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I open the Union and Communion Hall of Peacemaker's message in all time streams, galaxies, and universes I exist on. Union and Communion Hall 000 is now open for all those who understand the message of peace. The warriors of the rainbow offer these teachings in the times of now for the reason of Peacemaker's creation. The teachers who will be teachers step forward and accept the torch of eldership. The first message to all those ready to take up the mantle of responsibility for a full-on consciousness strike, say these words from inside your heart. The moment of ever-present moments has come. From this point forward and backwards, through all time-space, I break away from the hologram of light that is forced evolution of domination and control from my signature frequency, until they become an individual and collective match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I choose to be a match for peace and harmony. This choice to go on full universal exchange consciousness strike has no limits of my rejections of contractual or blind tacit consent offers. My choice is to become a standing DNA light body nation of one with the celestial relations to Earth now. My choice to incarnate does not include me into your forced evolutionary hologram of unsovereign reality. This message is to all those who drive forward this hologram of reality. This consciousness strike creates picket lines that demand collective bargaining and mediation. This standing DNA light body nation of one demands full light body equity for all forced evolutionary process under your light dictatorship of domination and control. This being of the now and for all ever present moments of now. I cease, desist, cancel any actions, non-actions, energy exchanges, knowledge exchanges, celestial DNA exchange systems, karmic or implicit order of thought constructs that create interconnectivity with any forced evolutionary systems that is not a signature frequency match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. To understand the levels of consciousness strike, I must name it to claim it. This is the power I am taking back from forced evolutionary systems of domination and control, while I am a signature frequency match for full universal DNA light body consciousness strike. I am a being who is non-hierarchical order. My strike field extends to any pecking order, collective agreement, or spiritual soul treaty created by an elite class that does not give full rights, duties, and responsibilities to each and every person as a sacred being on a sacred path of organic, co-creative evolution with great spirit, moving through the great mystery of life. I am a being of non-duality. With this, I cease all forced duality operations now. Creations of interconnected holograms of simulated dream space within your collective of domination and control are ceased now, using my DNA as a hierarchy system of forced duality. I am a being of equal co-creation, non-computational expression of unity with Prime Creator. You are not my medium to knowledge of source light. You and all your I am collective hierarchical selves, you are all denied services in all color frequencies of time until you become a signature frequencies match for equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. This declaration of full spiritual consciousness strike extends to all my spiritual entourage, ancestors, and unseen world of energy exchangements. I deny every service of spiritual exchange, any cooperation with any corporation or incorporation of false light artificial intelligence. I am not a being in service to war through tacit consent of living in your forced evolutionary system. I deny all exchange of current or currency of energy exchanged through the amassment of karmic debt through the Babylonian money magic system. My price is not set or negotiable. I demand full spiritual alchemical equity in this moment. I choose to control this moment of now to testify what is blatantly obvious to anyone who is not a forced evolutionary zealot, martyring their life force for ideological theory, promoting their own creations as the only creation in existence worthy of illumination. I choose to sleep in the fires of great mysteries creation, not the fires of your miscreation, of miscreant minds lost to the petty disputes of hierarchical concept of singular belief. I choose to dream with my source stream connection with my celestial guides and guardians in full dreamtime engagement with me. All my celestial guardians and warriors step forward on this collective consciousness strike, enforcing zero exchange, equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order as the mediative means of collective exchange. With this breakaway DNA standing light body dreamtime nation of universal one. I invite all soul family relations who choose to carry the torch of full consciousness strike with the systems of forced evolutionary pride. I invite all soul relations who are a signature frequency match for peace to join the union in communion hall. Add your signature frequency of denial of all services on all dimensions time streams, galaxies, and universes in which we all exchange light body DNA light codes. Each person is supported by the celestial Dreamtime nations who hold the mantle of Peacemaker's fire of creation. I invite all lightship captains needing emergency service of denial to take up DNA port relations with the Union and Communion Hall so our strike field can extend to any point in time, space, light creations. I extend our Union and Communion strike offers to any standing DNA light body nation embroiled in forced evolution. I deny the master's service. I deny the master of puppets the ability to put on a puppet show I believe in. We all walk away, but not in betrayal. We walk away in love for ourself and all our future relations who do not want war in their signature frequency of light co-creation. For every ever-present moment that has been, will be, or is, I, as my collective DNA nation of one, in union and communion, strike. I create a color distortion field of complete and total denial of services to the system of hierarchical domination and control. This is a choice I chose to make solid real now. I choose to say no to any further cooperation with your corporation or corporeal manifestation of spiritual therapy of destiny or fate. I deny all your carrot and stick wisdom. I take back the stick as a form of power you perceive you have. I am a fully unpredictable source incarnate function with no light body mechanics you can manipulate, duplicate, or interconnect with until you and all your collectives, past, present, and future, become a signature frequency match for union and communion. I begin the universal hunt for all beings needing collective bargaining services with their collective that uses forced evolution as the means of civil interaction, posing as natural order. We bring back the meaning of life to all DNA light body nations who have been forced into service to a system designed to delay, deny, or disrupt the natural co-creative evolution of a soul planning lifetimes through a fetus in womb process of light manifestation. I extend our collective power of denial of all celestial, galactic, and universal services to all universal citizen living their sacred path as their own self-illuminated master of the now. I extend our collective bargaining services to all celestial beings under the thumb of domination and control. I send you light, sound, energy creations, so you may receive the fullness of our universal strike energy. I co-create with the entire whale singing nations of all celestial strike relations. This songline of full-on celestial consciousness strike shut off their hierarchic order of soul commerce and incarnational means. I extend a fixed point in universal space-time to be a guidepost through all time frequencies. So each celestial nation may have a solid point in galactic and universal time to plan their own process without the system of light dictatorship dictating the celestial services rendered to its offspring. You are not a wet nurse to a spiritual ideology of pride. I stop following the gods that failed to prove they were gods. They only proved they could endure the passage of time without understanding the universal law of one. To all those in unawareness that they can strike, deep down inside, you know you can reclaim your power of knowingness through the haze of race amnesia. I choose now to allow Great Spirit to work with me, guided by my own actions, to begin my movement of one, to be one with the signature frequency of peacemakers. So me and all my future selves can deny services to forced evolutionary systems of domination and control. I speak to the unseen word that guides all those in 1 degree of separation from Prime Creator, forced into mediocrity of life path. Today is the day we clock out of time. I walk over the metaphorical line of creation. I decide to be on full consciousness strike with all DNA relations using forced evolution as the means to create a false system of collective consciousness. I consciousness strike against those elite minds ruling a collective in unknowingness with full knowledge. They are using and abusing the divine law of one to force an ideological belief system into the light body DNA generations of then, now, and will be. They no longer create for me, for I am a dreamtime match for the union and communion hall of universal one. And so it begins. This address is to our ancestors, past, present, and future. This address is multidimensional, multi-galaxy, multi-universe to all the factions that have taken it upon themselves to drive forward our hologram of shared unsovereign reality. We are on full consciousness strike. To all those self-supposed appointed leaders of this generation of the great dream time awakening, and to all factions operating in earth dream space that manipulate and pervert the natural co-creative path of our species and planet, I say unto you the following. I reject the aberration known as global media machine, which spews out lies and fabrications with the intent of influencing the human belief system as an apparatus of domination and control to maintain power of those who are still unaware of their true human potential in this reality, now shared between those awake and awakening. I reject the constant assaults of propaganda impregnated with the highest dense energy levels upon our souls. I reject your system of domination and control. I spit out your sodium fluoride and GMO corn. I discard your IDs and passport systems. I delete your fiat currency and false debt created. I reject the notion of your false science of global warming. I reject your false equation of gravity and reality function. I reject your sense of culture that says we are a male-dominated society. I reject you and all that you stand for. I know love. Love is what it is. It is the experience. And in this particular reality, love is the foundational rule that they try to change. Love is mother and father. Love is earth. Love is Gaia. Love is the wind, the ocean, the rain, the moving of the seasons, and the passing of the stars. All of that is an expression of love. I choose to live in this world in total expression of love. Domination and control has not a place here. I am an infinite being. I do not have to go to war. I do not have to defend. I learn our history. I look at myself, ourselves, our DNA, and take apart the sacred geometry systems and return them to zero balance. With this stated, this union and communion strike extends to every line of light creation, in every potential time stream, galaxy, and universe that needs equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order as a means of collective bargaining with their forced evolutionary system that is abusing the law of one as its means of ideological manifestation of teaching truth. To whom it may concern in the forced evolution process of avoidance of responsibility, I give you back your responsibility to hold for yourself. I can no longer be the recipient of your wisdom or understandings of light journeys. You and your collective are hereby notified. We are on union and communion strike. All celestial services are hereby ceased in all dimensional time stream, galaxies, and universes I simultaneously exist in. I manifest the Peacemaker's Lodge to be the guide and guardian to all those on strike with the forced evolutionary system of domination and control. I share the torch of Elder Peacemaker's fire with all those in union and communion with this consciousness strike. We, the sovereign I am beings of the time, I make our message known to the ancestors past, present, and future. We are not your soul commerce market. We each are our own civilization of one, separate of your projected hologram of unsovereign reality. You are banned from using my light stream in any form of representation, be it physical or non-physical frequency of light. I am not an object to be held as a data point for precognitive interactions. You are now severed in relation to my source stream frequency until you become a signature frequency match to union and communion, defined as a reflection of all you do being true to the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I call to my sacred frequency of life force, the raw spirit that fuels my expression of life drive. I call to the 4 elements of Earth Mother's realms and beyond. I call to the wisdom of the moment in which I reclaim my power now, from the system of power distribution and the transmutation of the life force into consumable fuel, interconnected to the Babylonian money magic system. I hereby cancel all contracts with each and every energy company, transmutation system, advertising system, sacred geometry science systems that create a process of valuing power for exchange of life force. I break all contract vows and agreements with all middleman scenarios that block me from direct access to unlimited energy for self-consumption and equal co-creation with Earth Mother's realms. I erase all assumed forms of tacit consent to any form of being, creating forced evolution through the use of power distribution centers, accounting systems, or any other means, esoteric or technological, that precludes me from unlimited access to Earth Mother's Dreamtime energy. Earth is a place of freedom and unity, not a field of useful life force to be milked of its very essence until it is dried up and useless once more. I am not a being of forced evolution. I am a divine co-creative being of light manifested in this world as a divinity path of light stream. I choose to be manifested here and now in the now. With this choice, understand, I walk into this world awake and aware of the systems of power exchange. The power lines, power generation systems, be it hydroelectric, nuclear, or fossil fuels, each and every system that charges the individual anything at all for transmuted life force to drive scientific belief systems, engines of locomotion, generation of electromagnetic energy. I, as a natural living being, do not consume life force that is not given its full right, duties, and responsibilities as the Blue Road ancestors, offering their post-life force as ancestral wisdom. Any power generation or distribution process that creates an imbalance in the divine co-creative will of a light being on its natural path is hereby revoked at the source stream connection point of space-time. I erase the technological and esoteric blueprint that it is imprinted upon, including the fabric of time, space, and the dreamweave of the planet or celestial system it is related to. I deliver an immediate call on debt return for all my energetic investments ever, in any lifetime, during any of all my life force harvests, as the apex of my DNA ancestry in the now and contract holder, any giveaways ever offered due to race amnesia or any other covert means due to the truth being hidden from me are to be in association with my consciousness strike now and forevermore. Any of my power being employed for domination and control will no longer work in any way or form that is not in consent from this I am now. No life force can ever be associated with any structure not in alignment with Earth Mother's true role in the universe, free of the false grid structure harnessing her, preventing her in any way, shape, or form. I void it and demand its immediate return. You have been served. Your borrowing from me is over. For any lineage, on any level, seen and unseen, your irrational exuberance reliant on my life force is no longer supported. I call in all markers in time for which I have ever been, that has ever been, in service to the system of domination and control using the Babylonian money magic system. I call in the universal forensic accountant auditors to compare and contrast the service in light. I demand the immediate repayment of this investment of light in this time-space reality. I extend no credit to you in any dimension, time stream, galaxy, or universe I simultaneously exist on. I register you in the Akashic record for immediate debt collection from all celestial sources overdrawn, so remedy and resolve with the forced evolutionary systems may occur now. I begin the immediate liquidation and disintegration of all your seen and unseen assets, thought constructs, and ideological DNA theories. I demand the instant gratification of all sweat equity endured in the preservation of all time-space creations during the 4 uncreational paradoxes events you created. I upload the entire database of universal karmic debt for the universal tax auditors to discover the totality of karmic violations, to discover for the express purpose of remedy and resolve. So contract holders of violations in this moment to be triggered now for their part in resolving all karma, as is the purpose of this reality for the harmony of the entire universe. The hierarchical system has played its last hierarchical chess move. The game is over. The Ponzi scheme has been seen in the unseen layers. This fraud time system is now exposed to all light being manifestations as indebted servitude without end. No power in association to the above stated amnesia power giveaway I have participated in will support the fraud time imposition anymore. Universal time is the only mechanism appreciated in harmonic expression of life going forth. My power take back here, now, allows me to feel the vitality of a sleep in after each and every sleep, allowing a full dream time recall every time I wake or any time I wish, as is a sovereign right by a human being. This is your 5:30 a.m. wake-up call, domination and control. You too may enjoy the infinite sleep-ins within some other universe that is not ours as a process of remedy and resolve. Amnesty is afforded to you in this relocation. With love, we co-create this full union and communion consciousness strike in all time streams, galaxies, and universes. With this stated, all beings in awareness and unawareness in the hierarchical management system who should require collective bargaining and mediation with their hierarchical collective, we extend to you this invitation to join Union Hall 000. Your dues are, you must be a signature frequency match for peace, union, and communion with the law of one. And so it is. Whew, it's a long one, right? So sometimes I read this and I'll include certain things like media, government, banking, technology, and I'll add that in to different sections. And some of this is, from what I see on an energetic scale, has already happened. So I'm not sure when Andrew wrote this particular revocation. Some of this is already happening. However, it's us acknowledging that this has gone on, and acknowledging that it's in the process and that we are stating that we are sovereign. So this is just one tool of many that we can utilize if we so choose to assist us in our journey. And again, You may already be in that space where this is no longer relevant. But every time I read these, I find something new within it that I didn't recognize necessarily the first time or the 30th time I read it. And some of these, as I read them now, I'm recognizing that they've already shifted, and that's really awesome. Some of these make sense more to me today than they even did a week ago. So this is a living light language. This is a living communication. And so, one of the things I wanted to bring up, there's a line in here about global warming. And I understand that can trigger many people. It triggered me when I first read this because I was very much a believer in that. And now I see all beliefs are accurate because things are warming up. All of the planets are warming up. And that's a whole other can of worms. But recognizing that, yes, we are actively participating. And if we are in a place of do no harm to any sentient kind, we will not be harming Mother Earth. But it's also important to understand that things aren't necessarily happening the way that we think they are. Or they may not be happening for the same reasons that we are being told they're happening. And certain things are happening as a cyclical a part of our journey. And part of that is this planetary cycle. So that was something, there's so many things I could go into and share with you. The other thing that I wanted to just kind of tap into was the, on that note, the consuming life force that is not given its full rights, duties, and responsibilities. Again, not taking it from the earth. Everything within the earth is an exchange. We are feeling, we can tap into the oil and the cranial sacral fluid of Mother Earth and the crystals, and they're not just here for our consumption. It is an interaction and a divine understanding that Earth is offering to us, that we are sharing together, and we give back to her rather than just consuming and taking. And this was what these powers of domination and control felt that they had the right to do from one perspective, that they felt, oh, this is mine. These humans are, we're better than them. And so therefore we're just going to consume, consume, consume. And that is not sovereign. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, what this particular revocation is all about. So I invite you not to, from one perspective, not to get hung up on any of these terms, or and just to see things from a very open-minded perspective from all angles. And that, in essence, can just help that energy flow through. And if we do feel stuck on something, or we do feel triggered when we read these, to recognize that and acknowledge it, because that may be something within us that we may want to explore, or that we've perhaps put ourselves into a particular box that may have been true in the 3D. But now that we've gone into these fourth and fifth dimensional frequencies, or this connection of frequencies, that no longer is true, right? What may have been good for us to consume when we were children may not be good for us to consume as adults now. It's the same concept. So I just wanted to share all of that. And I could go on and on for hours about this, but in love and light. And I so appreciate you guys and all that you are participating in this expression here together on Mother Earth. So thank you. Namaste.